Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy IX. Last time, or rather off screen, I went through the process of re-equipping everyone with the appropriate gear. Zidane still wants to learn Bandit, so he's back down to a weaker weapon. He's still working on that. Decided to put the glass armlet on to learn Antibody, and Steel Gill is kind of interesting in this case because he's also learning Steel Gill from the Yellow Scarf. And since there's only 40 points, or there's 40 points for Steel Gill and 20 for Bird Killer, 20 for Antibody, and since there's Steel Gill on 2 items, it'll go doubly as fast. They should finish at the same time, which means I can change all the gear around all at once, which makes it easier to work with. And of course on here, the only thing left you can learn is Jelly. Freya is a new character, and she is the only character in the game who can learn the Dragon Killer ability. Basically does extra damage to dragons. And there's another reason why, well, she's a Dragoon, I guess that's why she has that, she's the only one with that ability. But there's another reason why she'll want to be able to take on a lot of dragons. Not just her, but us in general. We will want to kill a bunch of them because, like Zidane, she has an ability that is boosted by actions taken in battle. Though instead of stealing, as in Zidane's case, one of her best abilities, or her best ability depending on your perspective, will gain additional damage up to doing max damage after you've killed about 100 different dragons. Not different ones, but in battle, kill 100 dragons, and her skill is pretty much boosted to its max power. And so over the course of the game, if you just go normally and just kill the enemies you happen to run into, you probably won't max out the damage, but I may take little breaks here and there if I know there are dragons in a certain area of the game, and fight a few enemies off screen to see if I can build up that skill a little bit. Other than that, since she's a new character, she's got plenty of things to learn. We could go down and learn Bug Killer, but it makes more sense to do the Iron Helm so we can learn level up faster, and we can also learn Bug Killer with this piece of armor. And the only thing we'll have to go back to learning is Undead Killer, because Antibody will be covered on the glass buckle that I'll be putting on later. But in the meantime, she's going to learn the Moonstone, and this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to get the Moonstone right away. Because normally you won't get anything that teaches Beast Killer to Freya until Disc 2 at the earliest. And it just makes a lot more sense that she can start learning it now, because Beast Killer is one of the best abilities for basically a tank slash DPS damage dealing character. And learn Bird Killer. Make sure you learn the killer abilities relatively soon, because they really improve your ability to take out enemies faster. Vivi, on the other hand, still working on add status, got Antibody, and he's got nothing to learn on here, but if you look at the stat difference between the cotton robes that we got from the cotton robe trick and the previous level of equipment. More defense, more magic defense, upped magic stat, and strength stat that doesn't really matter. But that's definitely a lot of help. The Coral Ring absorbs Thunder Elemental attack. It also teaches Insomniac, Maneater, which I mentioned a while ago is an ability that allows you to do extra damage to humanoid type enemies, and Lancer, which is a usable skill that Freya can use in battle. But I think learning Beast Killer is more important at this point, and Vivi has only Antibody left to learn, and he's already learning it here, so he doesn't really need to learn that, and so he might as well make use of this while he can. Anyway, as for abilities, he's just got whatever he can find. Bird Killer, Beast Killer, Antibody, and Bright Eyes are probably the most important of the status protection, and of course Bandit to help with Steel. Freya, killer abilities galore. Maneater, we will be running into a lot of humanoids. Though, since there's nothing else, I might as well throw it on. And, of course, level up. because, like Steiner, she disappears for a relatively lengthy stretch of time from being used in the game. So you'll want to give her some extra levels at that prior to that situation occurring. Anyway, normally I will not go into such great detail on all my equipment and abilities, but since this is all going to slow down over the next little while and we're going to be finding new characters and doing side quests over the next little bit, I figure it made a lot of sense to go over some of that stuff now as opposed to later. And if you can see there are some chocobo tracks. And they do not work the same way they did in Final Fantasy VII, but they definitely do serve a very interesting purpose in this game. And we will go over that probably in the next video. And these guys here are ladybugs. These guys are pointless and they die very easily. I'm not sure if they have an elemental weakness, but just take them down. Vivi can no longer one-shot anything. I'm going to find out if Freya can actually kill one of these. Let's see. Yep. If not, then Zidane would have stolen, but since she was able to take it down, yeah, even from the back row, that was a critical, so he does about 150 from the back row. Zidane, even with the Mithril Dagger, is becoming quite a powerhouse, and once he gets to using his swallows, I call them swallows, but I think they're called thief swords in this game, which just seems kind of weird. But once he starts using them, he'll basically earn himself a place in the front row for the majority of the game. And here we have a marsh, or a swamp, or whatever it is. And what do we have here? The Q's Marsh. And no, because I thought this when I first saw it. Wait a minute, is this a reference to Star Trek? No, nobody quite so cool is in this forest. Though, these idiots are here. And if you talk to this one, you can go straight to all of the tutorials that he showed you before. And no, I'm a know-it-all, I already know everything, so we don't need to talk to him anymore. If you go straight up here, you emerge here. And if you remember this character, I believe this is the same character we saw in Alexandria Castle at the start of the game. And apparently he, she, whatever, wants to eat the frogs. So what we have to do at this point in the game is find a frog that goes on land, press the X button, and we cut a frog. We go over here, and frogs are not, well, I've never tried frogs. Who would have guessed, eh? Me? And I've heard people pronounce this character's name as Quina, Kina. Quina is probably what I'll end up sticking with because that's what I used to call the character. I think Kino is like a Spanish take on the pronunciation. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is eating a frog. I'm probably, if I use a pronoun, I'll probably just use he, because even though they acknowledge earlier on in the game that this character's gender is definitely neutral or ambiguous at best, they definitely spend more time referring to the character with the he pronoun than with anything else. So not to offend anybody, but I will be using the he pronoun probably for the future of this game, my Let's Play, whatever. Yeah, well, no. Yeah, see, I think that's supposed to imply that this is the same one that was in Alexandria. And they speak in a very broken English. Other food. Sounds like a great idea. Let's go eat. Anybody up for a steak dinner? I would if I had money. Okay. Yeah. Wait, what? Get much learning. I'm not even going to touch that one. And at this point we have the option of taking this character with us. You can refuse if you want, but do not. This character, as weird and strange as it is, yeah, is actually quite useful and is this game's take on a blue mage. And we have a little side story event here that's also quite useful. What? You would think that a black mage's grandfather would also look like a black mage, no? Okay. Yeah, let's ask him. Yeah, but that's beside the point. Why are their tongues always hanging out? Just seems ridiculous. These are such anime-ish characters. Quan. Yeah. Okay. Which is odd that they mention that there's numerous tribes of these Q, considering we only see, I think, about 4 in the entire game. Wait a minute, 3. 4? Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, we get a little bit of depth on Vivi's upbringing, his character, and the background on these Q. And now, a new character. And High Tide is going to take 250 AP to learn. Luckily for us, all of Quina's weapons have this ability on it. I think every single one of them does. And like the blue mages that came before in older Final Fantasies, such as 3 and 5 and 6 to some extent, the damage out of these characters is quite random. It's similar to the way the hammers and mallets and other such weapons and axes used to work in the really old NES Final Fantasy games. And so they do an inconsistent amount of damage. So even though 34 attack is better than anyone else can produce, only, Quina will do anywhere between maybe 600 and 50 damage. 600 damage or 50 damage. It's so inconsistent, it's hard to deal with. And he can't seem to learn anything, so just throw a steeple pad on him. And let's learn antibody. Cotton robe's the best bet. And millionaire. Yeah, millionaire is the other one. You definitely want to have millionaire learned at some point because it increases the amount of money you get. Though, I don't need add status at this point. Oh, look at that. We have add status petrify if we learn that. So that's an option. But I want to learn millionaire first because it increases the amount of gold you get after battle. There. Merkill. Playing too much Diablo 3. Forgive me. High Tide is a nice ability. Allows you to trance faster. And at this point, Quina has nothing better to use, so we're just going to use that. But I don't particularly like it as an ability. I find crystal stones are better used on other things in most situations throughout the game. So at this point, Quina and Freya will be my main DPS characters, and Vivi will be a bit of a support, maybe with a fire spell directed on everybody. And Zidane will be continuing to steal. And you can fight some enemies in the... Oh, I guess we could do this now too. You can fight some enemies in the marshes that are different from the ones on the world map. Here's the first well, I guess this isn't the first minigame. We had the jump rope game earlier. But this is the first interesting minigame. It's also tedious and annoying. So, basically, the way this game works is you run around and you catch frogs, and Quail will come and give you items to reward you as you go. And we get an ore for the first one. By the end, if we get 100 frogs, we get Quina's ultimate weapon. And that gold frog there is kind of unique in more ways than one. If you run against the edge like I just did there, and they jump, even though technically you're not on top of it, you should still be able to get it. The frog, that is. The way these things work, okay, that's a female. You want to leave a male and a female frog. Okay, perfect. I want to get the one that's at the top of the screen right now. And you also want to leave the golden frog because it allows things to happen, them to reproduce faster, I guess. No! I want to catch this one. Get it? Perfect. So now there's a male and a female and a golden frog. And the way it works is based on the game timer, and I'm not sure what else is it's based on, but these frogs will reproduce, and they'll go through the basic larval stages. Well, I guess there's not larval, but the growth stages of a frog, from, you know, little tadpoles to small frogs to larger frogs. And as you go through the game, you'll want to capture more and more of them to earn some really good items that you wouldn't normally have access to for quite a long time, and also new weapons for Quina. So that's all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to go work on some other side quests at this point, and probably next time I'll explain how Quina's blue magic ability works. Do note that there will be a lot of jumping around in that because you have to learn them from enemies, so I will be cutting from learning one blue magic spell to another and then showing you the area that I'm in while learning them. But that will be next time on Let's Play Final Fantasy IX, and I'll see you guys next time.